everybody, it is Tim Gillette, and we are back with another Tim Gillette Show. You know, as season 7 of the Tim Gillette Show is starting to wrap up, we're starting to get some really good people. So I've got today's guest is someone that I've really been intrigued and excited to actually have as a guest. We know each other on Facebook for quite some time, and kind of got some like-minded thinking with this gentleman. So I'm looking forward to actually asking him questions, getting to know him personally in a conversation live on the air today. So Michael Fabber is, he's got this whole thing, this experience unleashed. I'm sure he's going to explain it to us. All right. I know just enough to be dangerous so that I can ask questions and really find out about it live while recording this with him today. So let me bring him up here. If I can get my mouse to work and actually get over there to where he is at. There we go. Hey, Michael, how are you?
What's up, brother? Thanks for having me, man. It's a pleasure to be here. I've been watching, so finally, long-time listener, finally on this thing.
I know. Man, I'm excited. I can't believe you aren't on sooner. I really can't. I think we've known, 3-4 years we've known each other?
Damn right. I had to earn it, and you made me earn it, and I'm glad that I finally pulled it off. I'm here. When you said 7, I was just like, man, I really thought it was like 9. So you really put it in the dedication that you've shown with the show and keep going. It really is a testament to you and what you're about and how much you care about your people and the voice. So thank you.
So yeah, and it's all about getting to know people like you. I mean, I found one of the greatest ways to create content when you teach people to create content is to do something that is so simplistic that they can duplicate. And anybody can start interviewing people, right? I don't, and many of us want to go out and just share our information and not realize how boring we sound when we actually start broadcasting. We don't have a way to engage our audience. An interview does that. All right. It helps me engage with you. And it helps the audience come in and say things like, oh yeah, man, I know that guy. So yeah. But
it's true. You do a great job of informing and yet being entertaining, which is very hard.
Right? Yeah. And I don't know how I learned how to do that. I really don't, Michael.
It's natural. This is natural for it.
Very fortunate in life that I had Zig Ziglar point that out to me. Very fortunate because I would never have looked at my life and said, man, I'm good to get on a stage. As a matter of fact, just at a Christmas party in the beginning of December, I actually ran into the guy who actually said to me the first time, Tim, you need to get on a podcast or a radio show. And he had an internet radio station at the time. And I'm like, his name's John. I'm like, I'm not getting on. No, I don't want to do that. Right. And it's like, he's like, now he goes, man, he says, that was what it's been 9 years. All right. And we have 3 different versions of the show. The Tim Gillette Show is the most recent version. But like, how often do we listen to those people around us who go, dude, Michael, you got great wisdom, man. You should be sharing this.
All right. And normally the 1500th time around that.
Yeah. So, Michael, first of all, tell us what part of the country you're in.
I'm in the great state of Delaware, the only state that ends in where, because most people don't know where it is. And I'm in a place called Georgetown, Delaware.
Okay.
Straight for Texas.
Actually, one of my high school friends lives in Delaware.
Nice.
She is very, very good, very good friends because she's in the legal field. Very good friends with the Bidens.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's kind of, it's kind of unique. All right. I may not agree with the Biden's political campaign, but like, I think it's great that she actually has been able to tie into people, people went to high school with. So anyway, it's cool.
All right. Connections are connections.
So you're in Delaware. All right. But recently, we've kind of been locked down. And I noticed recently you're doing some stuff going out there and doing some events and stuff like that. Are you getting out of Delaware to do them now, or are you still doing them at home?
Did a little bit of both. We have our headquarter retreats every year, which is normally either a 6-figure weekend or our launch and 3 retreat. They're typically around headquarters. We do stuff around here with people to kind of show them some things. Mm-hmm. But then also we get out, and this year we were in Mexico. This year we were in the Bahamas. We were on a cruise. We did a couple events in Florida as well. So we're starting to move around a little bit more and get back into the swing like we were pre-COVID. This year, coming up by June already, we'll be in Tennessee, Florida, Costa Rica, and a couple Delaware. Mm-hmm. So we're getting there. We're getting back to where we were.
Do you find it good to helping your clients to get in those different places that get them out of their comfort zone? Are you finding that a good thing?
100%. Right. First, I think the power of the room
Yeah, yeah.
is unmistakable, right? Like I love virtual. I love doing things like this. I love connecting and meeting with people like this, but there's nothing like the room,
Mhm,
right? The
mhm.
room is different. So as much as we can have the room literally changed my life, and also you could say saved my life,
Yeah.
right? So um, to have the room itself and the connections you build in it and the relations that come from it is
Mhm.
huge, I think, for our journey. But also, you're right, get out of the comfort zone and get into a new, right, surrounding, right, where you can try different things and experience different things that can broaden the horizon or make you see a different angle that could literally change your business, your life, your relationships,
Yeah.
whatever you're really seeking.
I know. I know. As I go to many events like that around the country, and there's a lot of people I know. During the pandemic, I kind of shut down. I'm still not ready to get on planes. I'm driving to the ones I can drive to, and
Yes,
I don't
sir.
know why. That's probably a fear that guys like you are going to kick me in the butt and make me get over. But it's. But I
Yeah.
do find that like going to them and being in the room. All right. And I've recently, I've started to my real estate business. I've started to try to, so I need to deepen my education there. So I went to a real estate event and came home with 3 pages of notes on how to up my coaching business. Figured that one out.
Nice.
Like, yeah,
sounds like sounds like an event you were meant to be at.
yeah, yeah. But I mean, how many times have you people come to your event and you have one intention for them, but they, all right, or
Mm,
God, shall we say God, the higher power, all right, has a different intention. He's
yes.
just using you, all right, to get them to act on what he needs them to act on.
Listen, there's things that we go to things for what we want,
Yeah,
and it's we have a funny way of finding what we need,
yeah,
right? And I think that's always like the funny part of it because I've done that numerous times where I've went to an event. I'm like, this is what I'm going to this event for because I need to get this out of it,
yeah,
right? Which really is a want. And then when you're there, the funny way how events rolls, it's like, but really, this is what you needed. It's like,
yeah.
thank you, kind of. Sometime later on, after I get over the pain of it.
Ah, and it's so true though. All right, of your what I mean, your path just happened to be in the right place. And for me, the real estate thing, because they were using similar online marketing tools that I used to use, but they're doing it different. That made me go, oh wait, I can do that with mine, and that made me sit
Mm.
there and start thinking, my number one app, all right, that I take everywhere I go. Everybody's like, what app do you use? My number one app right here. These two items right here.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I say we have an advantage because some of us, like, I didn't learn marketing through Facebook,
Mhm, mhm.
right? Like, I didn't even learn marketing through internet,
Yeah,
right? It was we learned marketing,
marketing. Yeah,
right? So then it's whatever the cool new app is or whatever the new feature is, we know the strategies and tactics, right? The principles that we use, how we need to come across, the messaging we need, right? Like we understand that from life, right? Like from when I was door to door,
yeah,
and that's
yeah.
miserable, right? And it's from those days. It's like now it's like all this did was make it simpler in a
Mhm.
way to get to more people or to get to people faster.
Yeah, exactly. So,
Yeah.
do you know Bonnie Frank?
Name does not sound
Okay.
familiar to me.
So Bonnie Frank, all right, Bonnie, I have not had her on a guest. I've known her for years as well. But Bonnie Frank, like every time I see a new thing, like Clubhouse came out like during the pandemic,
Yep.
Bonnie Frank jumped on Clubhouse and she skyrocketed with it. Everybody's like, well, Bonnie says you can do this and this and this. And I'm like, yeah, Bonnie has been marketing and building a business for years. So a new tool only enhances that. It doesn't,
Right.
yeah, it's not like this miracle creation, right? And I have learned to accept that I'm not the miracle. All right. I'm the voice and the words that God puts out of my mouth. That's the miracle that you're supposed to touch.
Right. And you're right. Like it's all everything's a tool. How do we use it?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
If we're using it in a way that works, it's like if you use a hammer to try to saw something, it probably won't go well for you.
Mhm.
But if you use a hammer to hammer a nail, it probably go well for you.
Yeah.
So it's like if you know the right approaches, wherever you are, you use that approach and it works.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Minus the whole inbox me if I want to make 10,000 a month thing. That whoever taught that, I want to find them. But other than that, I'm all love.
I mean, so you've gotten the LinkedIn connection, the Facebook friend request, which followed by the message immediately going, Hey, Michael, I can help you go to 7 figures this year.
Oh God, right? And like I always say, like when someone sent me like, "Hey, do you want to have 10K months?" And I was like, "Brother, if I had a 10K month, we're broke, right? Like
Yeah,
we have more
exactly.
expenses, right?"
Mhm.
So it's like I'm like, so one, like know your audience, know who you're reaching, especially if you're reaching out directly, like know who you're reaching out, do a little research, do a little work.
Yes.
And my thing is like anybody that says me this amount in this time, I automatically have a question like, you don't even know what I'm
You
doing. You
don't yeah,
don't
you
know
don't know what I'm doing. You don't know how can you predict that?
exactly.
I
Right.
I I had a lady do it last year. I want to say it was like November of 2020. She reached out, young kid. She was like 26 years old. Reached out, friend request, sends me the whole thing. All right, and says, you know what I mean? So you got are you on are you going to do $1 million in your business in a year? I'm like, yeah, we passed that like 15, 20 years ago, dude. Oh, you just went silent. Did you hit a button?
I said, I hope, because if not,
Yeah.
we're we reversed,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I know I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
I
And
know how
that's
hard
it.
that was.
Yeah. Yeah. She doesn't know who her audience is. And that's it. I,
Mm,
this is why I do all these things, interviewing people to find out who my audience is. I don't know. All right. And my audience, all right, today could be different than it will be in a year from now.
100%.
I don't know. So, Freddie, hey, greetings, Freddie.
Ready.
Thanks, Freddie. Thanks for coming in. So, Robert says hi to Freddie. Of course, we got to say hi to Robert. Robert's one of our most faithful attenders here. We love
What's
him.
up,
He's one of the
Robert?
fans of the show. Um, so my next question with you that I want to go to is, what made you come up with this concept of going out to help people? What was your background in business?
So I love like I don't know. I don't think you have to be born an entrepreneur. Like I'm not that guy that will say that, but
Yeah,
I've always been a hustler.
yeah,
Right? Like when I was a kid, I used to look for pennies and change on the street. I'm originally from New York City. I used to look for change, go to the corner store, buy penny candy because back in the day there was an actual thing called penny candy where it
yes,
actually cost a penny per piece, right? And it was amazing. And I would buy as much penny candy as I'd find change. I would go back to like my area and I would sell it for 5 cents a piece,
hmm,
right? And then until I had enough to go buy the 3-pack baseball cards with the 2 pieces of bubble gum, and I would eat the bubble gum and I'd sell the baseball cards, right?
yeah,
And I would do this like every day almost that my parents would let me, right? And I just loved it. I just thought it was like I was like I'm gonna be a billionaire because of this, right? And I figured I had to live to 1,000,005, right, to do
yeah,
it.
yeah,
But it was just I loved it. I just thought it was like so awesome. So I was always in that mindset, like how can we make, how can we help, like how can I do something to then do something for someone else to then get what I really want, right?
uh-huh.
And so like 17, we opened our first business, A&M Accessories and More. Um, that wasn't great. It was it was a lot of door to door. I
Hmm.
didn't love it. I said like if you ever want to get thick skin, do door to door sales,
Yeah,
right? Because people will call you all kinds of things when they're in the comfortability of their house,
yeah.
right? So I was
So
threatened
yeah,
to be
sold the
killed.
Grit newspaper when I was 13. I get it. You remember the Grit?
That's awesome, right? But it's like those moments, like they teach you things, and also like I was never the typical. I wasn't a good student. I failed third grade. I
Mm,
graduated high school because a buddy of mine wrote a paper for me, right? Because I wasn't going to graduate, right? Like I didn't love the education system the way it was,
yeah.
right? So I didn't do it, right? It wasn't the education system. It was like, all right, this isn't. I knew like this isn't how I like it, so I'm not going to do it. I'm going to go do it the way I love to learn. I just don't love to learn that way.
Mhm.
So that kind of got me in the entrepreneur game where I was always like, let's build something, help people. Like, let's build something, help people. I had restaurants and bars, catering companies, food trucks, landscape companies, property management companies, mental health counseling agencies, right? Like through the whole uh, kick and caboodle kind of thing at all the different businesses. But really, it was so my brother's one of the 22-year a day that served the country, took his own life in the early 90s. And when I was young, and growing up in a military family, my dad was military, my brother's military. I like served 2 days. I would say like I tried to join. I lied about medical things. I got caught.
Yeah.
Told me to get lost. Told me if I tried again, they would charge me. Right? I'm like, all right. I always say my brother served the country and I served time. I always try to make that comparison. But it was we were taught that we weren't hurt. We were angry.
Hmm. Hmm.
Right. So I spent a lot of my youth angry. Right. Like into my 20s, just angry. And I find out I'm going to have a daughter at the age of 20. And I found out I'm going to have a daughter. I beat my last case. I was facing over 20 years. and then I get shot at in like the same week.
Wow.
Right. And I'm like, my father already passed away by then. And I was just like, I don't want to be dead or in jail for my daughter. Right. Like, I want to be able to be dead. So I was like, all right, like get out of this world. Right. And go do the right thing. So I opened a bar and restaurant, and I'm thinking that was the right thing. Right. I go open a bar and restaurant, which is literally like all day, every day if you're in the bar and restaurant
Yeah,
business.
you
So it's
you're married
miserable
to
for a
that
life.
place. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's miserable if you want a life. Right. I learned that the hard way. And I didn't really deal with everything. I just kept grinding and be dead.
Mhm.
And then in 2011, one of my best friends took his own life,
Oh my God.
and it was a lot of no longer guilt but hurt, and like everything I held inside me from all the losses and all the guilt and all the things that was hurtful. Right, I was like, it just came out. Right, and I broke. Right, like that fake reality I created shattered.
Mhm, mhm.
And I became like a suicidal maniac. I'm on the beach with a gun in my mouth. I'm taking all kinds of pills, drinking heavily, right? Like doing everything that will not help the cause, right?
Yep.
And I think again, my daughter saves my life. So before my daughter was like 10, she saved my life twice, right? And I was always like, "You're there for your kids. Your kids are lucky." And I'm like, "Pfft," right? Like I'm like, I'm lucky.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. You got to ask my daughter if she thinks she's lucky, but I know I'm lucky,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I listen to that stupid cliche, like go find yourself, right? Like I was out there somewhere and I just have to go find me and then put me together and I'm fine.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm like looking behind trees under the rocks and in bushes and stuff, and I can't find me. And I end up in Mobile, Alabama at the Mobile Inn. And this was like over like a decade ago, right? And it was a much, I don't know what it is now, but then it was not a nice place.
Yeah.
Right. And I was sitting on like a stoop thing outside, and I was thinking back to a basketball coach told me. He said, "Did anyone breathe easier because you existed?"
Mm.
And at that time, the answer was no. Right. And I'm
Wow.
like 30, right? And it's like, no one breathed easy. Like actually the people that love me the most had it harder because of me.
Wow.
And that's a hard reality to face.
Yeah.
So then from that point on, it was like, how can I every day make someone's life better? Starting with people I love and care about, but also random strangers. At that point, I didn't have necessarily all the tools like we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
So it was like as simple as holding a door open, right? But it's I will say this one funny story. I go to my boy and I'm like, his name's Alex McClure, and I'm like, he's like one of my best friends. And I go to him and I'm like, I come back from my missing person, and I'm like, hey, we're gonna change the world. Let's go, right? And he's like, are you high? And I'm like, this is where we were in life, right? That was his
Yep.
question. I'm like,
Yep.
no, right? Like I don't think I've ever been more sober in my life. We're gonna change the world. And he's like, yeah, okay. How do we do that? I'm like, one person at a time, right? Because I
Yeah.
had no idea how, but that was just the only answer I could think of that sounded all right.
Mhm.
Right. And so I go and I like get all these certifications in coaching and take all this human behavior education, right? Because I love that stuff. I love how the brain works and how people work and neuroscience. Like I'm a nerd when it comes to that stuff, right? And I'm like, I'm gonna coach people. And at this point, I'm still dumb, right? So I'm like, I'm gonna be a life coach. I'm gonna life coach people, right? Like I don't even know what that means. And so I go and get all these certificates, and I'm like, Alex, come with me. I'm gonna show you what we're gonna do. And we walk into a diner in Dover, Delaware. I think it was called the Hollywood Diner. And I'm like, I'm looking around and I see a dude sitting by himself at the countertop, right? Like
Yeah.
diners have. And I'm like, that's the guy. So I walk up to him like, sir, I'm here to help you, right? So tell me your biggest problem and we're gonna work it out right now. No lie. This is the guy who looks at me straight face and goes, you. Right? So I said, all right, sir, you're welcome. And I walked away. And I looked at Alex and I'm like, one down. Let's go. But that was my beginning of trying to help people. So 2011 it really starts. So just over a decade.
Yeah. Yeah. So, from that moment that you, got that awakening, I'm going to go help people. When did you reach out to that person on that bar stool? How much time had lapsed?
Oh, from the day I decided,
Yeah,
um, maybe 2 months.
2 months.
Hmm.
See, this is stuff I want to see when I connect with people on this show, because I want people to see people like you are taking action.
Right.
Come on, Zig Ziglar told me in 2004, Tim, you should be a speaker. In 2009 and 10, I finally took action on it. I'm like, I'm not like, I'm one of these guys who waits for everything, right? So I
Mm.
see someone like you who goes 2 months, go, you know what? I'm willing to go fall on my face and try this. How many of your clients come to you with the same mindset?
Oh, of take action quickly? Not
Yeah.
many.
Huh?
Not many, maybe 10%.
How many of them end up taking action quickly after you start helping them?
Oh, I'm hoping every one of them, but that's also not the truth either, right? Um, really like quick action. It's like one of my clients actually came to me and he was like, it only took me 8 months, but I took the step,
Yeah, yeah.
right? And in a way, I'm like, thank God, but also in a way, I'm like, 8 months, me and you both know this thing is so fragile, right? That we
Mhm,
call life,
mhm, mhm.
right? Like this thing is so we've all lost people way before their time. We all have,
Yes.
right?
So,
And so to the idea of like waiting till I'm ready, like when are you ready, right? Like or waiting till it's right, like what makes it right, right? Like there's so many questions, and I'm like you. There was a long time in my life where I was just like, wait, just wait. Like we got to get it right. It's got to be perfect. Wait, right? And I think about the years that literally I spent on the sideline in life that I don't get extra time for,
yeah. You can't
and
get time back. Yeah.
yeah, and it's sad. It's in a way, and but also inspiring because now I'm like, go, like whatever it is we're doing, go do it. Like let's
Yeah.
go.
That being one time there that you fell on your face, though, all right. How many
A
times would you
million
say
times.
that you fell? I hate to use that terminology, but yeah. Um, how many times have you stuck yourself out there and fallen?
Oh God, countless. And like
Mhm.
I was,
Did
it's
you
funny
stop? So
because
you stopped counting what you're saying?
you're right, yeah, right. It's funny. It's like you're a speaker, so you get this in the speaker world. A lot of like new people in the space will
Mhm.
tell you everything they did amazing, right?
Yep.
Like they're just their story is like all wins, right? They have no losses. And now we're a little in this for a minute. So if you come to me with no losses, I'm like, go do more,
Yeah.
right? Like because now it's like now you're making me nervous because I'm going to be with your for your first loss, and I don't want to be that,
Yeah.
right? But it's funny when I get up there, I'll tell you about all the losses, the events where I lost 60,000 in a weekend. When in 2007 I thought I was better than the investors and I bought two properties in 2007. We all know what happened in 2008, so we all know I lost,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
we all know those moments happen. It's the first restaurant and bar I opened. It burnt down 4 years after opening, and I didn't have the right insurance. So we lost six plus figures, right?
Yeah.
Hundreds of thousands of
Wow.
dollars we lost. And it was these lessons are the things that made me know I had more to learn,
Mhm. Mhm.
right? The winning makes me think I've arrived. The
Yeah.
losing makes me know I got more to do.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
I think, in a way, you end up appreciating it
Mhm.
after.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah, I've had some big losses and some big successes because there was a point in time I created a business in the early 90s in Pennsylvania when I lived there that
Nice.
had two patents. That those patents, like I got the stuff filed for the patents, but I didn't have the money or the technology to research it to make it happen. And I'm going to
Mm.
tell you, the day I seen one of my patents in action here in a tire shop here in Dallas, Texas, all right, was a tearful moment in my eyes because I'm like, you know what I mean? Most people will be like, no, man, my little thing, man, I got to hold on to it. I
My
was like,
baby.
I know I can't, but this technology needs to be out there. So I
That's so
sold it
dope.
to someone who could develop it, and that was you can count that as a loss, you can count that as a win. To me, seeing it out there, knowing a realized version of what I come up with and drew out on paper is now working and serving an entire industry.
Yeah, you contributed.
Yes. And now, how many times can you
Beautiful.
say that you go, well, yeah, I've contributed and I'm willing to let it move on, let somebody else take it to the next level.
Right. No, that's beautiful. Like to realize that it's like they say, what is that phrase? It's like that you contribute a verse,
Yeah, yeah,
right? And it's like this thing of life is like a song. You just hope you contribute a verse. Like that's the point of us. And
yeah,
you already done it, right?
yeah.
So it's that's beautiful. No, that's a huge one.
No,
You did something that was so meaningful.
And then you've stated you got a daughter. All right. You have any more kids, family? Can we go
Oh,
into
I
your family?
definitely. My family's crazy, right? It's like
I can't imagine you having a
right,
crazy family. No,
right.
no.
Not at all. Not even a little bit, right? I'm the youngest of six. I had three older brothers, two older sisters.
Mhm,
Um, my dad used to say if I was the first, I would have been the last. Right, I would have been the only
mhm,
because I was that much of a pain in the butt. And I always say it was only because I got to learn from everybody else. So I did what everybody else did and some.
mhm,
Right.
mhm.
My father was hardcore. Um, he was a military man himself, so he was very like, "This is how it is," right? Like, "This is how it's going to be." He's not a yeller. He wasn't a screamer, but it would be a look, and then either a fist, hand, right, something to get you back in line. But typically, after you realize that the look was good enough, because you didn't want the rest, right?
Yes. Yes.
My mom is a classic Italian woman that's can cook out of this world, tough as nails. I always thought when I was younger, my dad was the toughest person I would ever meet, and then I learned my mom was, right? I mean, right? Isn't that crazy? Like I always thought my dad would, but then my mom was, and my dad couldn't do anything to us when my mom was around, really. So whenever I did anything wrong, I would just run and be near my mom. That's how I learned how to cook, because I was in the kitchen so much trying to steer near my mom, right? So I was just like, yo, don't let this happen, right? So I learned real like cooking to be able to make meals, and that's why originally I was just like, yo, the only thing I can do to serve people is make great meals and drinks,
Yeah.
right? And that's why that was my safety net, where I was like, yo, I'll do this crazy bold thing like jump into entrepreneurship, but I'll do it in an area where I'm comfortable doing it.
Yeah.
Until later, and I expanded and went in different directions. But my brother, 3 days shy of his 20th birthday, took his own life. Really shattered the family I grew up knowing. I say in my first book, I said I opened my eyes. I fell asleep. So we had one TV in the house at one point, right? So it was like I'm the youngest, right? So the chance of me getting to pick what's on the TV, right? So what I would do is like after everybody went to sleep, I would sneak down and turn the TV on, and that's why I was like so weird, because I like watch infomercials, right, like all night long, thinking it was great entertainment, right? But it was like that's why like marketing was bred into my head. I'll say, wait, there's more, 1,000,000 times, right? And, right, but it was like, so I guess I fell asleep on the couch downstairs that night, and when I opened my eyes, in front of me was my mom on the ground and my dad and my sister standing above her. And I'll say it was like that moment where it was wake up and go towards my nightmare, stay in my dreams, right? It was because that was the last day my family was the family I knew, right, for the first 10 years of my life. It's because after that, nothing's really the same much, right? And then my father passing away when I was a teenager was another blow to the family that was just divide. So I know what it's like to have a real tight knit, close family. I know what it's like to have a real divided, far net family, right? And that kind of taught me both what I wanted and what I didn't want, right? And that's now the culture of our company is built against that tight knit family, right? Like we're going to be close. Like we invite everyone over. Well, we serve meals for Thanksgiving, but Christmas we invite everybody over. Have a family, not bring the family, don't, like whatever you want. And our culture is just that tight knit family, close bond. It's because that's what of the part of my life I grew up. That was the part where I was like, this is what it's like meant to be like. And that second part was I learned what it could be like too, and what I didn't want.
Yeah. We have a comment here that I want to bring up. I was trying to read it, but my mom put her hands on me once. That's all it took. At 8 years old, she almost needed a SWAT team. No one on the planet ever put their hands on me again. I don't expect people to understand kindergarten rules for life. Don't ever put your hands on a person ever. So, Art and I grew up with a father who spanked me, but like, the spankings were, I did something wrong.
Right.
All right. And it wasn't like my dad was doing it to harm me. He was doing me to teach me something. And I knew the spanking was coming, because after I was like, I did something wrong. I knew it. Right. My dad never once ever punched me, slapped me, anything. My grandfather did one time. My grandfather punched me one time, and I didn't talk to him until the day he died. Yeah. Because of it.
Right.
So Art, I get you. I get where you're at there. So,
Yes,
and interesting, some interesting stuff you brought up there. First of all, youngest brothers. I'm the oldest of 4. However, I'm the skinniest runt of the 4. All the 3 younger ones are muscle built, and my one brother Jim, he's a Marine. All right, so like I'm the opposite. I'm the oldest, and I couldn't get to pick what was on TV, because like they could all overpower me. Yeah, individually by themselves could overpower me. Yeah.
They knew how strong you were, so they had to get bigger.
Yeah. So, the interesting stuff that we go along with our family history. My family, my brothers now, none of us live, like, there's only 3 of us that live in the country. 4th one lives in New Zealand, and we all live at different corners of the country. Like my one brother, Jim the Marine, he's in Florida right now, but he's Pennsylvania. But my brother Ken, he's in San Jose, California. I'm in Texas, and it's like none of us, but we're on like a group text every month with mom. My mom lives here. She moved here, but like, that's one thing. We have a very unique family that we've grown apart, but we're still close.
Right.
So
That's
yeah,
awesome.
we go hang out, and it's like nothing skipped a beat.
Right. I love that.
Is that how your family gets to be at the Christmas? The people you invite over for the holidays?
Oh, 100%. Like there's friends that I consider like brothers to me. Right.
Yeah.
Like that Alex gentleman I talked to you about, Michael Hudson, he's another one. Right. And there's other ones that I can mention that are like brothers to me. And it doesn't matter how long we go because life takes us in different directions.
Mhm.
Like as soon as we're back, we click. What part of PA?
Actually, I was born in Scranton, lived in the Poconos.
Oh my God. I
Yeah,
lived in Dalton.
yeah. I'm not familiar with Dalton where it's at,
It's
but
right outside of Clark Summit.
okay, okay, yeah.
And then
Um,
Carbondale too. I was in
yeah,
Carbondale for a
Carbondale.
little
I
bit.
live in South Canaan. Do you know where South Canaan is?
No,
You're not old enough.
sorry.
If you're over 40, almost 50 years of age, you know, it's 40, like 48, you know about South Canaan because a lady came there and hid in 1973 named Patty Hearst.
Oh, nice.
And the house that Patty Hearst hid in, my parents almost bought that house in 1970. Instead, they bought the one down the street.
That's amazing.
So I tell that all over the country. Well, if you've heard of South Canaan, like, you know what I mean? If you're over 45 years of age, right? And one time in my life, I spoke in Scranton in 2016. I spoke at a blog conference in Scranton in 2016, and I did it on my own dime, flew up just because I wanted to speak in the town I was born in, right?
Heck yeah.
And while I'm speaking, I get to tell that story. And I said, do you know that this is the first time in 10 years of speaking that I've had that many hands raised when I asked the question, do you know where South Canaan, Pennsylvania is from? You know,
I
'cause
bet.
they were all right from there, right? So
That's crazy. Small world.
it is, yeah. But I went to high school down in southern Pennsylvania. My dad took a job down Norristown, like Lansdale area.
Mhm, mhm.
And we went to high school down there. And, you know, actually, I stayed down there until I was 30 years of age. My first wife was from there, and I couldn't wait to get out of Pennsylvania. I wanted out. I didn't want to stay in Pennsylvania anymore.
Right. Same.
I was moving to California and ended up in Texas. So
Nice.
and it fits me.
I feel like you won.
I'm not going to go into what political thing I am, but it fits me on
Right,
more
that's
than
fair.
one way. It fits me. Yeah. So, but it's interesting, you know what I mean? How we've grown. So you know, grew up there. You were in New York City, all right, but now you're in Delaware. What
Yes,
took you
sir.
to Delaware?
So I was all over PA and New York and Virginia for a little while. And what took me to Delaware was after all the trouble happened and I kind of was in that opening, I was like, where can I go that I can just actually have a fresh start, right? Like get out of right the environment and the set because my brothers had a reputation. I carried that reputation on. It
Mhm.
was something that you were gonna have a real hard time getting away from where you were,
Yeah.
right? Because of what was planted around you. So and it, by no one's fault but my own, right? Like that's not a blame others. That's a I have to own this. So I have to go somewhere where I could actually be someone else, right? Or have a fresh clean to or a fresh slate to be able to show who I am truly or who I want to be.
Mhm.
And I figured like Delaware, like you have to do something really bad in Delaware to get in trouble. I feel like, right? Like New York, PA, trouble can find you, right? Like
You know,
Delaware,
and wait a minute, we finally have a president from Delaware, so you know.
right? It's crazy. You know, it's crazy. Like 8 years before that, when he was vice president, they kept making out like he was from Scranton. I was like, I never heard of this dude in Scranton. I only heard of him when I came to Delaware.
Yeah. It's true. All right. But
Yeah.
anyway, you know, and yeah, I always say now I'm from Scranton. It doesn't mean I'm running for president someday. I'm just gonna let you guys know that right now. It's not in my cards.
You have a vote if you do. You got me.
Ah, well, interesting that you went and took that path. Now, one question I've always loved to ask my guests, and for me, when I was like in my 20s, I spent like 2 years in Massachusetts and New Hampshire, and I had a boss up there at a part-time job working at a gas station. And that boss gave me advice one day that turned out to be life advice. It was just advice on how to do the job. And it turned out to be life advice that I took ownership of. And until this day, it drives me. And it was at the time I said, you know, Frank, I'm having a problem running this shift and everything. Everybody's in my way. And he said, Tim, on your shift from 4 p.m. to 10 p.m., you own this company. Run this company like you own it. And I have taken ownership of everything I do in my life since then. Has someone given you advice along the lines of like, it was maybe, you know, hey, this is how you play the game, and it turned out to be life driving advice?
Oh man, the different times someone spoke life into me
Yeah.
during different situations is huge, right?
Mhm.
And one of the greatest pieces of advice, and it's something I say almost every time I speak, is that stop looking for fair that's made up. Make it worth it.
Yeah.
Right? Because for most of my life, I kept saying it wasn't fair. It wasn't fair. It wasn't fair. It wasn't fair what happened with my brother. It wasn't fair what happened with my pops or my friends. Right? Like it wasn't fair. And finally, someone was like, "Yo, using fair makes you the victim. It
Yeah.
makes you paint a story where it's poor you." And he's like, "In no one's life, the only thing that's fair is what you determine. That means it's your perspective.
No.
So fair doesn't really exist. It's made up by you.
Yeah.
But here's what you can do. You can make all that you went through worth it.
Yeah.
So how about you focus on that?" And after that, it was just like, wow, all right. So if I went through all this, how can I make all of this worth it? Right. And it just changes your perspective from the problem to the solution. Right.
Yes.
And it just has you thinking in a way that will then lead your life differently, where if you focus on problems, that's all you'll see. But if you focus on solutions, you'll find them too.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And so I think that really like changed my life the most. Took me out of that victim mindset into more of an abundant mindset.
That's awesome. So my next question I have, it's kind of a unique one I added a couple months back. I had a friend on the show, and my show was the last show he ever did before he passed away, not knowing it was going to happen. And because of that, thousands of people have come to watch that episode. You know, God forbid something happens to you, Mike, but 20, 30, 50, 100 years from now, you're going to pass away. If someone's going to actually listen to this show, then what advice would you give them?
Make it worth it. Right? Like I will say for sure, from my experience, the biggest pains, right? The biggest problems, right? The worst times of it or parts of it had led to the greatest things of it. Right? And I'll say that for certainty in my journey. The most painful moments have led to the greatest times.
Wow. That's powerful right there. So, I mean, well, one of the things I want to do, Michael, is I want to make sure people have a way to connect with you. All right. Take this relationship to the next step. What is the best website that they can reach you on?
Best way to get directly to me is Facebook first. Also, my number, literally my cell number, not some BS SMS service number, is public and on all my profiles, and also is my legit email that I actually get. My big thing is no one's really alone unless you choose to be. So I make it very easy to get a hold of me, right? Cool. So you know you're never alone, right? Because my ultimate goal is to end suicide and self-injurious behavior. And to do that, one of the biggest things is we're not isolated. We're not alone. Right. The other thing to get closer to us in this time frame, the best would be the book experience unleashed.com. That's the book experience unleashed with an ED.com. And that'll show some of the things we have going on and some of the different ways to get closer to us and experience some of the in the room moments that we were talking about, and what to see the next step is of getting into the community, which is the best part. The Unleash You Now community, we call the Unleashed. That's the most amazing part of us. Everybody's always like, Mike, I really just want to work with you. I'm like, no, you're going to find out, like, you're going to be like, Mike's okay, but these people are cool. And I'm okay with that now. I've come to grips. It took me a while. I had to get my ego out of the way. It's like 2017, 2018. I let my ego get out of the way. I stopped calling it Coach Mike Fabber, and I started doing Unleash You Now because it's not about me. So those are some of the ways that you can get closer to me and get directly to me. Any questions, comments, concerns, reach out. We're a message away.
Cool. I love that. So, I do appreciate you being on the show. Before you go, though, all right, I've got to play my game with all of my guests.
I'm nervous.
We have 7 envelopes with 3 questions in each envelope. You get to pick 3 of them, and we're going to ask them to 1 through 7. Pick 3 numbers.
2, 4, and 6.
2, 4, 6.
I like even numbers.
All right, I'm an odd guy. I like odd numbers.
I used to be that. I used to go to the track and bet 3, 5, 7 trifecta every race.
Yeah, 3 and 7 are my 2 favorite numbers. So
nice.
Envelope number 2. Let's see what the first questions are we get to ask you. Envelope number 2. First question is: when you're going to watch movies nowadays, do you prefer watching at home or do you want to go to the theater?
That's a good one. I used to be a huge movie guy.
Yeah.
I think I literally have over 1,000 DVDs.
Yeah.
So I'm going to lean towards home. I like the comfort of my lazy boy better, and to know my surroundings a little more. So I'll lean home.
Yeah. I can't wait till they actually really do launch the new Top Gun. I am going to see it in the theater if it ever gets released for us to see. They've been
Right.
teasing us for
Agreed.
3 years now. Yeah.
Agreed. Also, Top Gun, the first one, is so amazing.
Yeah.
I make a Top Gun reference like every other day. Also, I used to think I was a really good beach volleyball player. I wasn't, but I thought that. And I got all my guys Top Gun t-shirts with names on the back, like Jester, Iceman, Maverick, Goose, right? And we all went out there every time and played in our Top Gun shirts because of the beach volleyball scene in Top Gun. But we were lame.
Cool. Question number 2: hamburger or taco?
Oh, taco. I got like 7 teeth left, man. Tacos are easier to eat. I've been hit too many times. Tacos are easier for me.
You got to come down south, man. The good tacos down here in Texas and and out there in Arizona, baby.
Let me know. I've actually been to Texas like 5 times the last like 3 months. So we got to meet up next time I'm down there and have some tacos.
We do, man. We do. Yeah, hell yeah.
Beautiful.
So, question number 3 in this envelope is: who was the better basketball player, Michael Jordan or LeBron James?
Michael Jordan by far. It's not even a conversation.
That's why I said was. Some people catch that. Most people don't. All right. Envelope number 4. Question number 1: bowling or putt-putt?
Putt-putt.
Yeah. Like
something powerful about a stick in my hand.
To me, it's like, going, you could take a group of 6 people and go play putt-putt and have a blast.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
100%.
Yeah.
Do you ever do so I used to do sports talk radio and podcast and blogging. Back in the day, long ago, where it was audio blogging, they called it. Yeah. We have a fantasy football league that we've had for 20 years, right? 20 plus years. And we have a thing called the Putt-Putt Masters. The day of the draft, we all get together and play putt-putt. We have a coat, right, that we get at the end of it, like it's the Masters. People iron on patches. There are all kinds of weird shit on it now, right? Mm-hmm. But it's like you said, it's so easy, fun. Anyone can do it. It's not. Also, the courses make it where it's not like a unique set of skills needed for it. It's normally not that frustrating. It's a great time.
Yeah. I've always loved to do something like that and then do it because I can't golf. I'm not that good at golf, right? But I love doing putt-putt and like as a conference thing. Okay, so we're gonna have the 2021, all right, blog and video con putt-putt champion of the year. All right. And I make a trophy up with it and everything. So yeah.
Let's go. I'm in.
Question number 2, and this one here: dog or cat?
Oh, dog.
Dog. All right. You have dogs now?
I have 10 dogs.
10 dogs.
Yes, sir. I have a farm. I have a horse farm. I have 10 dogs. I will say that when I first moved to Delaware, my mom thought I was like extremely lonely. Yeah. My mom ended up moving here like 7 months after I did, right? But she thought I was extremely lonely. So as a surprise, she bought me 2 cats. And I was like the least cat person before that. I was like heard all the stories about cats. It was just like they're miserable. Mm-hmm. And I got these 2 cats, and they were amazing. One was like a dog. His name was Clyde, and the other one was Bonnie and Clyde, of course, because it's me and I'm very mature. But they really changed my mind with cats, and I'm cool with cats. It's just if you made me pick, there's nothing like a Newfoundland dog.
So I was neither until my stepson left a cat here for me.
There you go.
Does it every freaking time, yeah. Anyway, question number 3, and I love it that we have it this time of year: Christmas or Halloween?
I absolutely love scaring people, but I'm going to lean towards Christmas. But I love scaring people. I love freaking people out just because I think it's hilarious when people react. Yeah. But Christmas to me is like one of the ultimate times that you can like give something of meaning to someone. If it's time, if it's something little, like just a memory, an experience, it's where people actually open up to it. Like if you give me a present in June, I'm going to be like, yo, what are you doing? Right? Like, why is this weird?
What do you want? Yeah.
Right. Yeah. But in December, it's like we're open to that being something, just a good gesture of love or care or thought. Yeah. So I like that. It gives us the opportunity to impact each other's lives a little easier.
Yeah. So yeah. One of my clients, she's a Disney Imagineer, and she loves Halloween. It's her favorite time of year. And like I don't talk to her most of the time from like the middle of September till like the middle of November, because she also is a judge on Outrageous Pumpkins every year too. So like, yeah, she just Halloween's her thing, man. So
that's awesome, dude. Halloween's dope. It's just I got in trouble once. A dude jumped out of a barrel in a haunted house to scare me. I hit him, and ever since then I've been like a little weirded out from Halloween.
Cool. All right. Last envelope. Let's see what these questions are giving you today. Question number 1, the toilet paper at your house. Does it go over on the roll or under?
Over. I follow the manuscript. It goes over.
My wife has it over in the bathroom downstairs. Upstairs, it's just sitting on the back of the toilet until my stepson comes up and puts it on the roll for me.
I love that because that's how I operate too.
Like, I don't care.
Yeah, I don't give a damn. I just need toilet paper.
Yep. Beer or wine?
I go neither. Can I say Jack Daniels?
Yeah.
I'm a Jack Daniels
my
fan.
Monday night podcast where we do alcohol and food tasting. That's my Monday
Oh
night.
my goodness!
Yeah.
Send me the link. I'm in. I love food.
There's a girl that I joined with in Oregon, and we did Christmas drinks last night, and like we did bourbons and vodkas, and then we pair foods with it. It's awesome, man.
Oh my goodness! I actually once as a gift, I got my mom and me a bourbon tasting. Which is funny to bring my mom's in her 70s, right? And I'm like, Ma, come on, right? And it was, she ended up loving it, having a great time. Now she wants to go all the time. I feel like I created a problem. But if you make me pick, I'm going to go Jack Daniels or whiskey. If you made me pick between those two, God, I guess I'll go beer.
Yeah, I'm not really a drinker. I'm a taster.
Right. I like that.
My problem is I don't sit and you remember the old days, we'd cans up, I don't.
Right.
I'm a taster, and I love tasting rather than doing the whole drink. So
right, yes, sir. I'm with you.
Last question on here. All right, this is one here. Some people have opinions, some people don't. But Superman or Batman?
So it matters what you mean by this. Like, so Superman's an actual superhero. So if you're like superhero, I'm going Superman. Batman was just a cool dude that was a billionaire and wanted to give back, right? Yeah. Like Batman, I'm more like that could actually happen in my scope of reality. Superman would be harder to be. So I want to be a cool Batman. I even practice sometimes saying I'm Batman, right? Like the last Batman would say. Yeah, right. Like it's like I practice that.
Batman.
Exactly, I'm Batman. And so I practice that just in case it ever happens. But if you superhero, I'd go back Superman just because he's an actual superhero. Cool. I put way too much thought into all those.
I know. It's like that's it. Imagine what's in the envelopes you didn't open.
Right, Jesus. I'm glad. Also, I got to give a shout out to Jennifer in the room. What's up?
Yeah, I switched it this season to where it's random envelopes. I don't know. I'm gonna, I have one more episode I'm doing in this season. I'm gonna move in January to a new season, and I might tweak it again. I don't know, but I love doing that. I love that game at the end because it gives you a personal side to your guest.
Right. Yeah. Right.
So repeat the website one more time, Michael, so people can find you and connect with you.
The Book Experience Unleashed with an ED.com. Cool. The Book Experience Unleashed.
Cool. Well, I want to thank you for being on the show today and being a guest of mine, sharing with my audience, taking time out of your schedule. I do appreciate you doing that with me today, babe.
Thank you, brother. The honor and pleasure is all mine. I love how you do it. You have a great platform, and the system you use, the format you use really shows you and your guests in a great light, which is hard for a lot of hosts to do. So thank you so much for finally. I had to earn it. It took 3 or 4 years, but thank you for letting me on. I appreciate it. And it was as awesome as I thought the whole time.
Yeah, that's one thing I didn't ask you. How did we ever find each other? Do you remember?
Yeah, I was like, I did like this search. It was like for super cool people that do cool things. And you were one of them. And so then I like slowly was building the relationship.
Cool.
Right. I did not inbox you and say, do you want to buy something?
Yeah, that's key. So right there. So, all right. Well, I want to thank you. And I want to thank you guys, the listeners, for tuning in today. All right. And making this podcast what it is. We appreciate you for tuning in and following us. Go check out Michael, the Book Experience Unleashed.com, and follow him on Facebook and everywhere else you can see. Make sure that you subscribe to us on YouTube as well as where you get your podcast. I'm Tim Gillette, and I'll be back with another guest real soon. Bye, guys.